Hello, Elizabeth. I'm going to put this on video instead of writing it on Facebook because it'll take me about 4 hours. And the reason why I'm doing this is because thought about that the last time we talked, it was a miscommunication based on what you wrote on Facebook right afterwards, saying that you have the right to have whoever you want in your life. I think that you might have been telling me that you think that I might have been telling you that you couldn't have anything to do with Dan. And that's not what I was saying. What I was telling you was that somehow, some way, I have been able to just allow that in my mind, and that's going to be what you're going to do. And then so that's what I was that's what I was saying. But I'm thinking that you was thinking that I was telling you that I don't want nothing to do with Dan. And if that is the case, you was saying that forgiveness and Walter and all that, you was trying to plead your case to me like that's why you have something to do with Dan. But if there was no miscommunication and you knew that I was talking to you about what I don't want to have anything to do with Dan, and you was trying to throw that down my throat and trying to tell me that I should forgive Dan like you did, or like what Walter would want to be done, who Walter was, I'm letting you know that that's unacceptable. I can never allow that to ever happen. That's not going to be me. That never will be me. And you need to honor that. You need to write back on Facebook after seeing this video and say, yes. Either tell me how it went, how you thought I was talking to you that day. Was I telling you that you couldn't have anything to do with Dan? Or was I saying that I don't want nothing to do with Dan and you misunderstood it? If it is that you heard it right and that you was trying to tell me that I should forgive Dan, you need to tell me, yes, William, that is what I was trying to tell you, and you need to apologize for that and promise me that you'll never do that again. And I'm telling you so strongly why you need to do that. I'm going to explain to you what you already know about my convictions about Dan. Dan is somebody that we always known all of our lives to be this person, but we always dismissed it and act like Dan wasn't this person because Dan is quiet and passive and it's hard to be like this. But we know who Dan is. When Dan said he loves you, Beth, there's always a reason why he loved you. Dan is not that type of a person that is going to get up in the middle of the night and go 20 miles to go get Chris. I mean, Chris is on the side of the road. He's not going to do that. He's going to do that if you want him to, because it looks good for you to see Dan in that light. We know who Dan is. And if you don't want to see Dan like that, and if you want to live in your little version of Dan, I can't tell you not to. I don't like it that you choose that, but I understand why you do that. You don't do that because you're a hateful person or you're disrespecting my brother and this and that. You're doing that because that's who you are. You think that forgiveness and all that kind of stuff is what is always the right thing to do. So the last straw for me having anything to do with Dan is the person that he grew up with. The Dan grew up with this family. He knew my dad, and we knew his dad. All the histories that we lived through. The day that my brother died, that never can be dead again, after all those years, he didn't come around. He didn't mourn with us. He didn't embrace us. He didn't say anything. He stayed with Deanna. And I'm sure he's telling you this and that about her and how evil she was and how she controlled. Dan stayed with her. We know he stayed with her because Dan wanted to. And that's undebatable. Anyways, I'm not here to debate either did he stay with Deanna for the reason that I don't care. I have my convictions. I know what I know. Anyways, he stayed with her. You can never go back in those times again and Dan get away from her and then he mourns with us. It's done. He made his bet and he's gonna lie in it. As far as I'm concerned, he'll lie in it. I don't ever want to see Dan. Dan is not on my mind. Dan is somebody that has never been there. And you need to know that, but you already do know that. But if you was trying to tell me that I should forgive Dan that day, that is almost unforgivable, Beth. If it was anybody else that was trying to tell me that, that would be unforgivable, because you know how I feel about Dan. You know that how I tie that in with Walter. That's an honor to me. That's a bond that I have made with my brother. I would never, ever, ever go back on it. Ever. I have strong, heartly convictions. I can never bring Walter back. But what I can do is be this thing that Walter and me had a problem with doing while he was here. And Walter thinking that, we had this bond. We never had this bond. I have this bond now out of my own desire to have it. Don't ever try to take that from me. And if you can do that, I want you to straighten it out with me. Did you misunderstand what I said? Did you? Did you think that did you know that I was talking about you? And then you was trying to convince me that I should forgive Dan too. Admit that, apologize for it, and know where you came from when you was trying to do that. You wasn't thinking about me, and promise me that you'll never do that again. If you can do that, that means that you truly love me, that you truly honor me. You truly understand where I'm coming from. It doesn't mean that you need to come from there, that same point of view, but you understand me, and that you'll never do that.